It's the review. Plotaholics mini review.
Wow.
Yeah, I was channeling my inner Mark Wahlberg from Rockstar on that one.
Right.
Stand
Right.
up and shout. We should do a clip of that voice with me doing that.
All right. So this week, Brian has the mini review, and he is going to tell us all about John Wick 3.
All right. So there are going to be mild spoilers. I'm not going to give away anything huge. I promise you. So for those of you who have not seen John Wick 3, matter of fact, I'm going to tell you guys now. You're in the comments. You're watching this. So if you want mild spoilers or no spoilers, tell me now. Because honestly, I'm just going to go with mild. I'm not going to give away anything major. I'm telling you that now. So you have your mild spoiler warning, but don't worry. It is not going to be major. Mild like I like my salsa.
We are giving you all the time in the world to mute. If you didn't mute during Brian's screaming, this is your opportunity to avoid spoilers on John Wick 3. Otherwise, again, just mild spoilers, but Brian, take it away.
So John Wick 3 picks up where John Wick Chapter 2 left off. In John Wick Chapter 3, we see John Wick on the run, and at this point, he has been excommunicado per the wild spoiler. I am not going to ruin any of the super major plot. The only thing, and I will say this, and I will apologize now if you have not seen the John Wick movies. If you haven't seen the first one or the second one, I cannot review 3 without telling you a little bit about it. So, with that being said, John Wick is now on the run after Winston has made him excommunicado due to him doing business on continental grounds. We know this. Now, John Wick, played again expertly by Keanu Reeves, is now in for the fight of his life. He has a $14 million bounty on his head. And as you've seen in a lot of the previews, he goes to an old friend played by Halle Berry, who actually steals the show from Keanu Reeves in this film. And I mean that completely and utterly. When you watch this film, you will actually see how Halle Berry steals scenes from Keanu Reeves. And it's not just from her talent, because her talent is on full display. But even in the script, she steals the show from Keanu Reeves when she's in it. Now, if you're looking for her to be all over the place every step of the way of the movie, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I will tell you that now. But we actually see John Wick travel very, very far and wide to plead for his life. Very far and wide. And I will leave it at that. John Wick Chapter 3 has a lot more action than its predecessors. And Shane asked me if I loved this film. I wanted to love this film. I wanted to love John Wick Chapter 3 because I love Keanu Reeves. I think Keanu Reeves is a hell of an actor. I can't wait for next year's Bill and Ted 3. I'm pumped. Everything Keanu Reeves does, I watch, even if it's not the best. Dracula, I'm talking to you. However, I did not love John Wick Chapter 3. I enjoyed John Wick Chapter 3, but I did not love it. Here is why. It is a much bigger action set piece than its predecessors, and therein is where it lost me. We lost so much of the character of John Wick for the action. And that is where I have a problem. Now, a lot of people are saying this is the best John Wick of them all. They're lying to you. The best of the John Wick films is the first one. I will say this again. The best of the John Wick films is the first one. Yeah, I know this is the look on your faces right now. But I'm telling you, John Wick, the chapter 1 is the far superior of all the movies. I love John Wick chapter 1. John Wick chapter 2 was very, very enjoyable, and I thought it was great. John Wick chapter 3 is also very enjoyable, but I just liked it. Great action, great fighting. Mark Dacascos, unfortunately, as much as I was a big fan of his films in the 90s, Mark Dacascos was more annoying than anything else at certain points.
When we were off the air, you and I asked you if you loved it. Your comment was that it felt like the longer that the series goes on and the bigger they try to make it, it starts to lose something of its like
It's heart.
Emotional center. Yeah,
it truly does. In the first John Wick, you feel for this man who just lost his wife. You feel for him. Your heart aches for him. Anyone that has a significant other, your biggest fear is that your insignificant. Your significant other is going to leave you, and there's nothing you can do. Anita, is 3 better than 2? No, it's not. It's right. I would say comparing chapter 3 to chapter 2, it's a great continuation. But if chapter 2 is here, chapter 3 is right about here. They're not too far apart in that.
So on the Plotaholics, when we rate movies, we don't do a star rating like a lot of people. We don't do thumbs up or thumbs down.
Nope.
We discuss how many shots it takes to get through a movie. A perfect movie requires 0 shots, and a terrible movie requires 5 shots. So the higher the shot rating, the worse the movie.
Absolutely.
So Brian, how many shots does it take to get through John Wick 3?
Shane, in the official Plotaholics rating system, I, Brian Tan, of sound mind sometimes and body, I give John Wick chapter 2.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. 2 shots.
All right.
John Wick chapter 3 gets a 2-shot rating. Not horrible, but it could have been better. There are some spots where this movie kind of drags a little. Angelica Houston, who is always an amazing actress, she had amazing scenes, but it's like they set her up to do something major, and then she does absolutely nothing. Lawrence Fishburne is still very interesting and over the top, but it's almost like he's trying to parody himself, trying to pretend to be Samuel L. Jackson. I can't remember the man's name, but you know who I'm talking about. He's on that other podcast that we enjoy. He plays Adrian Pimento on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah, you're talking about I always call him Rafi because that's the character he played on The League. But Jason Mantzoukas. Yes,
Jason Mantzoukas is in it. I'm expecting him to have a very huge role. He did next to nothing really. It wasn't like major, him being on screen. It wasn't like major. Mark Dacascos has a really, and if you don't know who Mark Dacascos is, Iron Chef. Great. He did some pretty, now if as far as his acting credits goes, if you saw the abysmal Double Dragon film, which was, I believe it was Alyssa Milano's first movie after Who's the Boss, when she's 18, 19 years old. It wasn't all that good, but he was in that as Jimmy Lee. He also took over for Brandon Lee as Eric Draven in The Crow Stairway to Heaven, the Canadian television series that served as a sequel to the first Crow movie. He played Eric Draven. Mark Dacascos, what else was he? He was also in a lot of the those 90s B martial arts movies. So he wasn't terrible. His character is actually really, really good when he's first introduced. Some amazing fight scenes with him. But then as you find out more about his character, it's just it's no good. It's very annoying. It's very forced. I will say, however, besides giving credit to Keanu Reeves for another good performance, Ian McShane as Winston, as always, is amazing. I want to say Lance Reddick as Sharon, the concierge, the concierge of the Continental, is always a win. Asia Kate Dillon, who plays the character of the Adjudicator, she is our primary antagonist of this film. She's the antagonist that we see. She is quite interesting in this film as well. She's enough of a villain that you really, really hate her and you want to see her get her comeuppance. But with the star power and with the talent that there was, the movie just it kind of starts to fall a little bit flat. Now we have been told, and it's official and it's greenlit, that we are getting a John Wick Chapter 4 in 2021. And to be honest, if they can't put something better together for Chapter 4, then I really hope that Chapter 4 ends the series.
Take a trip with us to Neil Bar. Just promise not to drink with you. If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you. 'Cause every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow. Whiskey, wine, or blue milk, just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.